Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Krzysztof Trojnar is a director of photography who sat down with me today to discuss his work on the first 4 episodes of the breakout Netflix hit series Baby Reindeer. We discussed the show's impact, his approach to the material, and our shared love of Paul Thomas Andersons Magnolia. Baby Reindeer has become Netflix's most watched show of all time. And if you haven't already checked out the show, do yourself a favor and catch up on it. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
Hello.
Hey, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Christopher?
I'm
nice
great.
To meet
you as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure.
Okay, first thing I gotta ask, and I know it's like the most obvious, boring question in the world probably, but I am genuinely shocked by how the show has resonated with people. Because this is something when I saw it, I had a very deep reaction to it. And there's something that art that is this, generally speaking, to me, great art is provocative. It questions the audience. It pushes its audience. It challenges its audience. Most of the times, things that are wildly popular do not do that. So I am shocked by how good this is and how popular it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I mean, yeah, it's. I would lie if I would say we expected it for sure. You know,
How could you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that old trope, we're really making that cynical play at a stalking story that deals with sexual abuse because everyone just flocks to that. It's just, this is exactly. Not the recipe.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you wouldn't necessarily imagine sort of, I don't want to say, because obviously Netflix is mainstream audience, but like you wouldn't imagine a mass audience to be attracted to subject matter like that in a way. And I think that was a great surprise. But same time, it's, you know, there's something in it that reveals some truth about human nature, and I think that's why it's so interesting. And that's, you know, it's quite often it's the very dark matters that reveal some truth about human nature in a way. So I think, I guess it's had to be that way.
Well, there's something that I think some people get bogged down in the idea of this being a true story and how much of it was changed from reality and how much with the real. I think the thing that matters more than anything, you can get all the facts right and get every detail of it, but it can still feel emotionally dishonest when you can get all the plot points right, but it still doesn't hit in that way. This feels incredibly vulnerable and honest and true in that way. And I think above all else, that's the thing that people respond to here.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely. And I think as much as the subject matter is sort of extreme, I think in a sort of small dose, people relate to certain feelings or certain, you know, certain emotions or desires or needs. And I think, that's probably the power of it. And because it's so honest as well. I think
there's never anybody in this piece to me. Well, okay, I take that back. There are the main story here. There's not a mustache twirling villain in it necessarily. With the stalker, you have moments of empathy and you feel for her.
Of course. It's not that you can only take her as this kind of unhinged character, a threat. There is also, you develop empathy for her as well. And I guess the interesting thing is like a constant seesaw between the kind of unhinged and then somehow, I don't want to say relatable, but like somehow, somehow displaying quite honest, relatable emotions, I guess. Yeah, I'm feeling so. Yeah, definitely.
And can you talk a little bit about the look of the piece supporting that? Because you're playing with a lot of different styles in this series where you have moments that are incredibly warm and comfortable, things in the bar that have this golden color to them, and then these things that are
Yeah.
very cold and distant and like very cool blues and dark colors, and it just has a very, and everything that's around Terry has a warmth to it, and even in the costume and the way you shoot her, and it's a very, it might go unnoticed, but you're playing with a lot of different styles and looks in this piece.
Yeah, I think in a way it's kind of reflecting the shift of the tone as you watch it throughout. I think it kind of starts in a very playful and light way, and I remember when we were grading it, we kind of also paid attention not to overwhelm, especially the first episodes, with like grittiness or darkness, and then it kind of obviously spirals into this very dark territory, and kind of ends almost as a horror in episode 4. That was definitely, Veronica was the director, mentioned that a few times in prep, that she kind of wants it to feel like an horror at the very end, and yeah, so it was it was a great experience to be diving into those scenarios and kind of getting the most of it, I guess.
Well, there's that episode 4 is something that plays out as a film on its own. That's just something that has its own arc, and it's something that feels like a contained story within this. It reminds almost similar to, there's an HBO series that I think it was called The End of Us. I kept the plague story that came out a couple of years ago based on the video game. And there's this episode 3 with Nick Offerman, and it just has this whole separate thing that exists as its own film within it. And it reminded me of that in a lot of ways, where this is its own arc.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible piece to film, and to work on. I think the episode 4 in itself was like yes, a standalone story, which I think a lot of different, maybe a little bit more complex, technically complex ideas went into, compared to like the other episodes. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't exist without the first 3. But yeah, it's definitely gives much heavier context to the entire story, and yeah, it was yeah, a great task to tell that story. And I think also the dynamic slightly changes, because it's not so much based on the back and forth between Donnie and Martha. Suddenly things kind of happen, different dynamics happen, and obviously some bad stuff happens as well, but it's definitely kind of opens the world a little bit, I think, as well.
Oh, it's something that's absolutely key to the story, because I think without that piece of it, you don't have the full understanding of this character and how he got to where he is, and the decisions that he makes, and how he allows this to go on for as long as he does, and why he doesn't tell the police, and all these things that you push back against. And when you see this, that just kills all that shit, which is the normally in stories of abuse like this that you see. It's the, why didn't the person speak up sooner? Why didn't that? And you actually, you dwell in that why so long in the middle of this story, that I think it's, if it was executed poorly, you wouldn't have people finishing the back half of this series. It's because it's executed so well, because this is a hard sit, but something that is so important for this overall story.
Yeah. And I want to say one really incredible thing I read somewhere. I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but I think I've saved it somewhere. But I think after episode 4, after Baby Reindeer, there is this charity in London about like male survivors of abuse, and the amount of calls went 80% up. Like, so you would, I thought it was like first time where I realized that, okay, well, we made the show, but also and obviously it stirred a lot of media topics, but it actually turns out that it had like very positive impact on that, which is amazing.
Well, it's something that even if it's not your exact story, I think most people have some connection to this where they can see themselves in here on some level whatsoever. Most of us have something in our lives that we haven't spoken up about, or something that we haven't come to terms with, something we're still grappling with that impacts us to this day. And if it is this particular story, something along these lines, it's something that helps you feel seen and helps you to know that you're not alone and that you can reach out. And that's just, I mean, my God, if there's not a greater validation for making something other than that, that's incredible.
Yeah. No, that was definitely something I didn't realize, and it was interesting discovery that's what happened, which is incredible.
So, what point did you realize that this was just a cultural juggernaut? Because this wasn't immediate. This is something that it built over time. So, at what point did you know that this was something that was not what you thought it could have been?
I think we had the cast and crew screening, and I think I heard rumors that Netflix was very happy with it, and that they said that it's like one, it's like it's a very good project, and they were very proud to have it when it was all done. So we were like, okay, great, let's see where it goes, and then. I can't even remember, because I think I actually was on holiday when it came out, and I
Smart.
think there was and at the same time there was all these news were coming in, and I started getting messages, and I was like, that's probably not what the typical release seems like, if you know what I mean, and so no, it was, I think, wasn't it like first week was 20 million people watched it or something like that? It was insane.
Yeah, and I think I was listening to an interview with Ted Sarandos like a week or two ago on the New York Times podcast, and I think he said this is the most viewed thing in history of Netflix, or it was either on its pace to be, or it is currently the most viewed thing ever, which is which is pretty incredible that it's you guys and Squid Game, which is, if I was picking it out, I would not have chosen either one of these things. So I guess my finger is way off the pulse. So
no, I know. It's unbelievable in a way. Yeah, it is unbelievable. Because I mean, for example, for me, it's also like it's my first TV show.
Yeah,
so it's like it's obviously incredible thing. Or it's like hard to grasp, really.
So then, what are your plans after this? Now that I assume your world has changed a little bit after the reception to this.
I'm getting quite a few scripts at the moment. I'm reading some stuff. So we'll see. We'll see where things go. I haven't like committed to anything yet. So yeah, we'll see in near future. Hopefully, something should crystallize more.
Well, you did incredible work on these first 4 episodes, where I think you showed such an incredible range in the look of this, that you do have all these different styles. Is there something that you would want to do, a genre, a type of piece, something that maybe you didn't get to explore in this that you would want to do next?
I mean, I think it's interesting because I'm not very much into comedy, and my first fear was that after Baby Reindeer, I'll get the comedy projects, which I'm so glad that very quickly people realized that this is not a comedy. It is a dark comedy.
It has a lot of humor in it, but it's not a comedy.
Of course. And I think it was interesting because I think at the beginning maybe it was presented as a comedy to the audience, for people to kind of pick up on, and then the reviews started coming out, and I don't know, people call it psychological thriller, or like it's definitely there is definitely dark comedy in it. And to be honest, I remember even in prep, the director Veronica, she he was convincing me that the all best films ever made are comedies. For example, Magnolia, which I actually never looked at it as a comedy, but there's definitely comedy elements in it. And some characters are totally over the top.
I
The
could
Tom
not
Cruise
agree.
character, right?
He's hilarious. I mean, and John C. Reilly is
yes,
heartbreakingly comedic in it. He's so. I mean, I adore that movie, and the opening of that thing is all comedy. I mean, the absurdity of all those moments that where they're drawing out coincidence. I mean, if you wanted to talk for an hour about Magnolia, you stumbled. I would be the guy. I adore that.
Oh, please! I'm happy to join. So exactly. So I mean, and there's truth to that. I must admit to Veronica that they're like some of my favorite films are probably some more comedies. But I mean, even
today's episode of the Following Films podcast is brought to you by Bookmans. Are your shelves groaning under the weight of unread novels and forgotten movies? Does your attic hold a secret collection of vinyl waiting to be rediscovered? At Bookmans Entertainment Exchange, Arizona's favorite haven for pre-loved treasures, they turn your clutter into cash or store credit. But Bookmans is far more than a used bookstore. Bookmans is a cinematic journey. You can relive your favorite films or discover hidden cinematic gems. They have an extensive DVD and Blu-ray collection that offers something for every movie buff, from cult classics to box office hits. Bookmans is a symphony of sound. Dust off your headphones and get lost in the world of music. They offer a vast selection of CD and vinyl records, encompassing everything from classic rock to contemporary pop and everything in between. Bookmans is a gamer's paradise. You can level up your gaming experience with their diverse collection of used video games. From retro consoles to the latest releases, you'll find everything you need to conquer virtual worlds at fantastic pre-owned prices. Bookmans is the home for the curious. If you're looking for that unique piece to add a touch of personality to your space, explore their curated selection of home goods, including vintage finds, decorative items, and even musical instruments. Bookmans is also, goes without saying, a universe of books. From timeless classics to the latest bestsellers, their meticulously curated selection caters to every genre and interest. Whether you're a sci-fi fanatic or a history buff, they have the perfect book to ignite your imagination. Don't let your pre-loved items gather dust. Bookmans offers a hassle-free way to give them a second life. Just go ahead and bring in your used books, movies, music, video games, and even some home goods, and their friendly staff will assess their value. You can choose to receive cash on the spot or store credit to explore their incredible selection. And when you choose Bookmans, you'll know that you're supporting local. They're a proudly locally owned, operated business, supporting the Arizona community. They have an unbeatable selection with a vast array of used media, and you'll always find something new and exciting to discover. And it's eco-friendly. By shopping pre-loved, you're giving items a second life and reducing your environmental footprint. And it's always a great value, because Bookmans offers competitive prices that ensure you get the best deal on your favorite books, movies, and music. Make sure you visit Bookmans today if you're ready to embark on a journey of discovery. Head to your local Bookmans Entertainment Exchange, browse their shelves, unearth a hidden gem, and turn your unused items into cash or store credit. And remember, Bookmans has your cool covered. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say controversial things, but there is even an element of comedy in There Will Be Blood.
Of course there is. Oh my God, it's very dark, but there's a lot of stuff that he's doing that's so big that if you're not, I mean, it's so huge. His performance in that, and some of the stuff about his son. That I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's darkly.
So if those were the comedies I could do for sure, but I'm definitely kind of drawn into like a darker, tonally darker stories. I think, well, just before Baby Reindeer, I worked on this mystery drama. That was like a sort of my first break into television.
Mm-hmm.
It was this show called 1899.
Yeah.
And that was like the first experience, which was obviously strange in the sense that it was this huge budget and we played the small part of it by my unit. We shot like almost an hour of footage that is in that show as a second unit crew. Well, because we did the whole scene start to finish, which I don't think nobody knows about that. But yeah, that was my break. So if I wouldn't done that, I wouldn't get Baby Reindeer, which I was so so happy to, and it was amazing experience as well. So I think I'm kind of drawn to like dark character driven stories, but see what the future holds, I guess.
I don't be scared of the comedy, because I think that, I'm attracted to dark things as well. That's where I'm more comfortable. Things that I enjoy, the art I consume, the things that I make, the music I listen to. But when something doesn't take the time to laugh at itself in its moment, it's tough. I don't buy into it. I've never been to a funeral where at some moment we don't laugh in memory of the person. That's how we handle tension. We laugh in those moments.
Of course.
And so when you're talking about There Will Be Blood, those aren't outright slapstick moments. It's the tension is where, to me, some of my favorite, hardest, deepest laughs I've ever had have come from very dark moments. So yeah, don't be scared of the laughs, because those are a good sign there. That means you might find truth in the darkness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you kind of, it's can also get unbearable if there is no,
you have to release the tension,
humor. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the last thing I got to touch on here, that the reason that I ended up watching the show was I follow Stephen King on Twitter, and he just simply put, Baby Reindeer, holy shit. And so that's how I ended up watching this. And it was just like, okay, that's enough. That's like the perfect review for me. When you see when you see things like that, how do you internalize something like that? Because I'm assuming you're kind of the guy that probably we're relatively in the same age group, close. I'm a little bit older than you, but if that's just a cultural icon to have them watching your stuff and being floored by it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's just something I don't think I didn't even, I can't even grasp, in a way that, like, it's so abstract that I don't think I've ever fully realized that Stephen King was watching our show. Like,
how can you
just said that now? I don't think my brain works that way to kind of even realize those things, and it just sounds too abstract to me. I mean, I guess I can't still believe that, in a way, and also it's tricky, because we were laughing the other day with Veronica, because I'm friends with the director. We know each other since film school and stuff, and we said, like, this is probably like we'll never make ever anything that so many people will watch. Like, it's that's impossible. It's just abstract, in a way. So, but let's still try to have fun. There's still some time left, hopefully, to do some other stuff. But it's very abstract feeling, for sure.
Well, yeah, I don't think you can you have to be a special kind of person if you can actually conceptualize that and get that in your head and understand that and appreciate it. That there's literally tens of millions of people watching this thing, that if this were in a theater, this would have been a multi-billion-dollar movie. That's how many people have gathered to watch this show. You know, if you take that multiplier of how many people are in a home and going back and rewatch, it's just a small country, basically. It's an insane number of people. So a mid-sized country, I guess, at this point.
Sure. Yeah. Poland plus, or well, probably now even England, Great Britain plus, or United Kingdom. But yes, I mean it's unbelievable.
It actually, weirdly enough, I will say this though, it gives me faith in the world that something like this is connecting with people so deeply and they're sharing it with each other. The last 4 years have been pretty disheartening as far as divisiveness and the things that, you know, people seem to be glomming onto right now. And to see a story as complex and emotionally raw as this is, and vulnerable as this is, and I just to see this connect so deeply and so universally, actually, despite this not being a hopeful story, it gives me hope in humanity right now that this is the story that we're connecting to at this moment.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad. And I want to say that's what I've heard, that also a lot of people from like industry, that they were very happy about Baby Reindeer, because in a way it gives people hope in the sense of the bringing original stories with non-celebrity cast that can still be watched and followed by so many people. And it's a sort of the current anti-recipe for a TV show, if you know what I mean. Because I think lately that's been the trend to kind of bring very famous actors and, you know, make big budget, sort of big scale stuff. And then suddenly there's this completely niche little story with the main character no one ever heard of. Obviously not taking any credit away from Richard, but like, you know, he wasn't a famous person.
Household name, no, nothing like that at all.
Exactly. Yeah, and then suddenly that is very successful. And so I think a lot of people feel that there is some hope also in the creative side of television.
This was the promise of streaming when we first all started buying into it, that we would get these stories that we didn't see in mainstream multiplexes, you know, but we started streaming started mirroring the multiplex, where you had these multi-hundreds of millions of dollars with A-list actors, with A-list directors, and they're essentially telling every story that you would see in the most homogenized and typical way. And that's fine for a certain thing, but it's it was always, you wanted to have, for me, the thing that I always wanted was a story that I couldn't see other places. You know, it was, we're going to have all these networks that are they can take riskier moves. They can make their version of a Breaking Bad type story. You know, you can go with these less obvious kind of, you know, anti-heroes, or tell a story that's from a perspective that we normally don't see, that it's not just going to be, you know, giant robots and monsters fighting each other, that you can tell a story that's just the real stories here. Essentially, two people in a room is the tension, and God damn it, that's the best. That's the best special effect you can have, is just actors, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't get AI to do it. Hopefully, that's
no. You know what? They might get, maybe they'll get there one day, but I'll be long gone by then. If I'm lucky, I got another 40 years left in me. So I don't think it'll get that good in that amount of time. At least I hope not. So, but Krzysztof,
totally.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today, man. It was a pleasure to meet you, and congratulations on the show. It's, as you know, as the world has said in resounding numbers, it's something really special. And I'm a fan. I enjoyed your work, so I'm hoping to see something soon, something coming down the pike next.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. It was great to meet you, man. Take care.
Great to meet you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Get cell phone ring lit up on a nice night. I gotta say you and it's hot inside of the sun. I could put you there, and it's hot inside of the sun. I would put you there. Yeah. And it's hot inside of the sun. I would put you there. And it's hot inside of the sun. I would put you there.